whole sequence saying Shema Yisrael, it said it's supposed to say the first pasuk with him. Now, I'm not sure if it actually halachically applies to women because you're not in the same place. It's all because of the impression it gives that you're there and you're not saying it with them. You're not really there. You're in a different place, technically. So it could be that it's not the same requirement. But in any case, that's the luck for the men. But if it's during Psukkah de Zimra, you do interrupt. Say the pasuk. During Birchas Krishma, you don't. Interrupting. If you have any questions, you could ask because you're the only one here, so you could ask. But
not right now.
yeah, okay. Now, Halo. What about interrupting during Halo? Saying Halo. So it depends if it's Halo that you're saying with a bracha, like sometimes we say the complete Halo, sometimes half Halo.
Yeah.
Right. So Yom Tov we say the complete Halo, and Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. First 2 days of Pesach, we say the entire Hallel. The other days we don't. Sukkot, the whole Sukkot, say the entire Hallel. When you're saying the entire Hallel, then it has the same halacha like Birchas Krishma that we discussed for Birchas Krishma and Shema. That we can interrupt for Dovaship Kedusha. Something that's essential, something that has Kedusha in it. Right? All those things we went through Birchas Krishma. So that's what you can interrupt for during Hallel when you're saying Hallel with a bracha. Meaning, it's not really about the bracha. It's about because you're saying the entire Hallel. Because you're saying the entire Hallel, so the obligation is when you're saying the entire Hallel, that's because there's a real obligation to say Hallel. As you're saying the whole house, you're actually saying the bracha also. Half Hallel is because it's only a custom. So when it's an obligation, it's stricter. Then it has the same laws like Birchas Krishma that you don't interrupt only for the things they interrupt during Birchas Krishma. When he's saying half Hallel, so he's saying without a bracha, but it's related to the fact of saying whole or half. Because he's saying half Hallel, like Rosh Chodesh, not the first 2 days, the rest of Pesach, besides the first 2 days, he's saying half Hallel. Then has the same, it's not as strict, but then has the same halacha like Psukkah de Zimra between Baruch Shama and Yishtabach that you can interrupt for much more things. Okay. So let's discuss another halacha. During Shema, you're not allowed to make any motions. We know that during the Amida you can't make any motions, but during the Shema also, you can't motion, because it's Kabbalah Semach Shema, he's accepting the yoke of Hashem, he's saying Shema. So during Shema, the entire Shema, you can't make motions like to point, even anything minor, like if your eyes go like that. You can't do any during Shema. You cannot do that. It's like Shemona Esrei. Can point. If it's for a mitzvah, an example of mitzvah, then you could start from the second parsha. But otherwise, you cannot make any motions like to point, even with your eyes, like anything. You can't do during Shema. And the Amida is the same thing. Shemona Esrei, you can't make any motions. It's kind of dangerous. It's different, but otherwise you can't. What else? Pretty much covered. Should we just continue with candlelighting? Should we review the halachas of interrupting during davening? Agree the option because
we do candlelighting.
Should we just continue? Even whoever's not here will miss out. That's what it is. So why do we light Shabbos candles? So the technical reason in halacha is that because Chava brought the sin of the Eitz Hadas, she caused Adam to sin. So she caused Adam Rishon to die. Therefore, how does she correct it? By lighting a candle. So lighting a candle before Shabbos. In other words, Adam Rishon, which is the first man, the first man in the world that Hashem created with his, Hashem himself created, she brought death. Hang on a second. She caused, let me give you the exact version what it says over here. Oh, the expression is that she extinguished the candle of the world. So Adam Rishon is called the candle of the world because Hashem created Adam. From Adam came all mankind. So she extinguished the candle of the world. So she has the mitzvah of lighting candles to make amends, to fix up what she messed up. So that's the simple technical reason, which could also sound like a negative thing for women. Oh, the women caused this, and now this is what you got to do. But we know we learn Chassidus and in other places, it's much deeper than that. It's just like the Chet Egel, like even the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. The deeper idea behind the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash is to get to the third. That never explains in a Maimon. Now, the destruction already began the rebuilding. The deeper idea of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash was to be able to rebuild the third Beis Hamikdash is really much greater. So anything that's also like that, there's something. In other words, there's something special that women could accomplish by lighting candles, and this is a special mitzvah that is given specifically to women. Now, also because women are mostly in the house, and that's why the mitzvah has a special connection to them. And we know from all the other mitzvahs, the three special mitzvahs that are given to women, which is separating challah, lighting candles, and family caring. So it's not, even though in Shulchan Aruch when we learn it simply, it sounds negative, but actually there's more depth to it. That is on the contrary, it's something special what women could accomplish. Just interesting, a letter that I came across a few days ago, that the kaivetz that the Rebbe gave out to Shvat in Tavshin and Aleph, 91, that he gave out a kaivetz, a pink kaivetz called Kaivetz Chav Shvat. And in the letter, the Rebbe speaks about what the women could accomplish. The Rebbe says you take a lesson from when we left Mitzrayim. The building of the Mishkan. But the building of the Mishkan, who was the ones who were more involved in the building of the Mishkan? It says the women had a special connection with the building of the Mishkan. They were quicker when it came to donate. They were quicker. They really put themselves into it right away. The men had to be pushed, and the women did it right away. It never says, maybe a lesson, the power of women, that a woman, they could be, I don't have the letter in front of me easy to give you more details, but that the women, they could be, so to say, the trailblazers, the ones who could be an example, and they more than the men to a certain extent. Now, let's continue on. So we explained what's the idea of candle lighting, how it's directly connected to the woman, but what is the mitzvah? It has to be also a mitzvah in connection to Shabbos. So, fine, it's to make up. The simple reason we said is because they extinguish the candle of the world, so now they're lighting a candle. What does that do with Shabbos? Well, brings joy. You start with the basics, which is when it's dark, it's the opposite of joy. When it's pitch dark in the house, you can't really see where you're going. We don't really have that experience lately because there's always light, even at night. Everything is lit up. But in the olden days, when it came night, it was like it was a blackout. You ever experienced a blackout? Like you can't see anything. So you need candles There should be peace in the house, shalom bayis. You should be able to see where you're going. You shouldn't be walking and knocking into each other. Imagine it's pitch dark, mamish pitch dark. We're not used to such a thing, but you can't function properly. So Chomein Takana, that there should be light in the house, Shabbos, so people could function, which the term used is Shalom Bayis. That's one reason. The other reason is Oinik Shabbos, to give pleasure to Shabbos, eat pleasure, because it's pleasurable to eat by light. Would you enjoy eating in the dark when you can't see the food? No. So there's an enjoyment eating by the light, even though you go to restaurants sometimes and it's dark. It's not really dark. It is light. Just that's not bright. But it wouldn't be pleasurable to go to a restaurant where it's pitch dark and you can't see the food. There's an enjoyment eating by light. So that's the other reason why we light a candle, and that's directly related to the eating, to when you're eating. So there is the reason of Shalom Bayis, which has to do with the entire house, that there should be light in the entire house. It shouldn't be dark in the house. You should see where you're going. And then you have the reason of enjoying the Shabbos meal to eat by the light. Now, these days, because at night it's usually lit up in the house, even the rooms that are dark, there is enough light to see what you need to see. So there's a hallway light, there's light coming from outside. You're not walking into your bedroom at night with the light off and it's pitch dark. There is light, so that mission is accomplished already. You don't need to be lighting candles in the bedrooms. But when you eat, still, it needs to be light. Now, you're going to ask, but there is light. It's a big discussion. These days, I need candles for it. Not really adding light. But the explanation is that the more light, the more joy. Light brings joy. That's how it is. Whenever there's a simcha, you light candles. Light brings joy. That's the justification of lighting candles Friday night, even though there's already light, because it brings joy. And I've encouraged even girls from 3 and up should light. Now, how many candles do we light? We light minimum 2. I'm not talking to you because you're lighting one, I assume, because there's already candles lit there. It's not going to be just one candle. There's going to be more, it's going to end up being more than one candle. It's going to be 2 hours. But if, let's say, you're lighting somewhere in your apartment and you're the only one lighting, then you should be lighting 2. 2 corresponds to Zocher and Shem Shamit. The 10 Commandments, one of the 10 Commandments, it says, Zocher, remember the day of Shabbos. And the other one, it says, you should guard the day of Shabbos. Zocher, remember, refers to the positive commandments of Shabbos. Specifically, Zocher refers to the mitzvah of saying Kiddush, remembering Shabbos, say Kiddush. But it generally refers to all the positive commandments of Shabbos. And Shomer, guard, refers to the negative commandments of Shabbos. And that's the idea of 2 candles corresponding to the 2 terms brought in the 10 Commandments. One of them it says Zocher, remember. Other one it says Shomer, guard. Now, it's not that men are totally exempt from the mitzvah of lighting Shabbos candles. It's just that women get the priority, meaning husband and wife, who gets to do the mitzvah? The wife, as we explained. But if a man is living alone in an apartment, he has an obligation to light Shabbos candles. Yeah.
I'm home alone, and my parents, meaning my mom's not there. I should be lighting 3.
Is anyone else lighting besides you? You should light 2. They should understand that you're lighting 2 because of the situation.
No, yeah, not thinking like that.
Exactly. You don't want to become a vow.
Yeah.
Even though the obligation is on the women, but in other words, the obligation is on both, but they get the priority. They get the option to do it, and they're encouraged to do it. In other words, technically, halachically, it's on both. So let's say if the woman says or tells the husband, okay, you light it this week. Technically, halachically, the husband lights the candles, he exempts his wife. She has the mitzvah is done. But women are encouraged, they should do it on their own. Now, being that the obligation is on both, but women get the option to do the mitzvah, and they're encouraged to do it. But the men should also be involved with the mitzvah. And therefore, the men should prepare the candles. They put it out on the table, they put in whatever they can do besides the lighting, they should do. Now, if they don't, it doesn't mean that they didn't do the mitzvah, but the ideal way of doing the mitzvah of lighting candles is that the men should, in terms of the men's part, the men's obligation, even though he's exempt with his wife, but it's that he should be involved with it, he should be preparing the candles, whatever it takes to prepare, put the light on the table, put the candles inside, do everything up until the actual lighting. He's not able to, he still relates with his wife, but he should be involved in it. Yeah, it's also important, and this is not an obligation, but this is a very good and strong suggestion that there should be chalas on the table. So the table does not become muktzah when the woman lights the candles. The challah should be there. Ideally, they should be before the candles are lit. But if they're there before the sun sets, it also works, and the table will not be muktzah. Now, right after the woman lights candles, she is accepting Shabbos. Automatically, she accepts Shabbos. She's supposed to have that awareness that she is accepting Shabbos. The women should light to daven mincha before, because once they light candles, they're accepting Shabbos. It's Shabbos, can't daven mincha anymore. What if you're running late and you still didn't daven mincha? It comes to the time to light Shabbos candles. You didn't daven mincha, or you wanted to take a drink or something, or you want to light in time. So then what you do is you stipulate. It's called a t'nai. You make a condition and you say, I'm not going to be accepting Shabbos. I specifically say, it doesn't have to be verbal. In other words, in your mind, you're saying to yourself, I'm not accepting Shabbos. It's like this: after I light candles, I could take a drink. I could daven mincha. That can be done when necessary. Shouldn't say just necessary. When it's important, when it's something that's, something that's needed. It shouldn't be done on just random, like every week. Okay, because you should be accepting Shabbos after you light candles. But if you're running late and you want to drink something and do something, then you can make a condition, and then that buys you 10 minutes. You get 10 minutes, but you must accept Shabbos within 10 minutes. This idea of 10 minutes is no matter when you light Shabbos candles, meaning, luckily you can accept Shabbos starting from Plag HaMincha. Plag HaMincha is an hour and a quarter before the sun sets. Hour does not mean an hour and 60 minutes, it means an hour halachic hour, according to the time of the year. One can light Shabbos candles from Plag HaMincha. But whenever he's lighting it, he must accept Shabbos immediately, right after lighting. Or if it's something that's essential, she could stipulate that they're not accepting Shabbos right away, and then you have another 10 minutes to accept Shabbos. The reason why the bracha is said after lighting, usually we say a bracha before we do a mitzvah, but we say the bracha after you light. The reason is because there's an opinion that says that once you say a bracha, you accept the Shabbos. Imagine you say the bracha, you want to light the candles, and if you already accepted Shabbos, you can't light the candles. That's the reason why we say the bracha after we light the candles, because there's an opinion that says that once you say the bracha, you already accepted Shabbos, and how could you light? That and Yom Tov is the same way, even though Yom Tov technically you could say the bracha before you light the candles. What's the issue? You can light on Yom Tov, but not to make any distinction. We don't want to distinguish. It gets confusing. Shabbos, you say the bracha after Yom Tov before. It's confusing. Keep everything simple. Say the bracha after we light candles. Do you ever wonder why after you light candles you cover your face and you say the bracha? You ever wonder why? You don't benefit from it. Because the idea is, even though we say the bracha afterwards, but still, the ideal situation is that we say a bracha before we do the mitzvah. But again, doing after the mitzvah. Yes, but what is the main mitzvah of lighting Shabbos candles? It's not the lighting in itself, even though it's a mitzvah. The main mitzvah is they're able to benefit from the light. So the idea is that after you light the candles, you don't benefit right away. You cover, I'm not going to details, you go like this, they're not going to that, I'm not discussing that specific thing now. The idea is that you are covering your face so you can't get any benefit from the light. And then you say the bracha, and now you can benefit. So now it's also, you have a tinge of the idea, you sort of have a flavor of the concept of saying a bracha before the mitzvah, because the mitzvah is also the benefit. So now there's no benefit, your eyes are covered. Now you're saying a bracha, then you take off your hands, now you can benefit. That's the idea of covering your eyes. There are those that are strict. That's the way I grew up. My mother used to do it. My father would encourage my mother to do it this way. So let's say it's an obligation, but that is to put on the lights before you light candles. It's brought in Shvatim, it's not an obligation, but the idea is like this. Again, when we're lighting candles, technically, we have light already. Well, we explained already, I enjoy, fine. But there's an opinion that says, you know what? Shut off the lights, put it on. Now you're putting on the lights also. And then light the candle, that interruption. And then say the bracha. It's like this. The bracha is also going on the electricity. So that's something that's a proper thing to do. It's not obligatory, but there are those that do it, and it's up to you if you want to do it. You decide to do it. Again, no one thinks to become a vow. So, like any other thing that you accept upon yourself, have in mind that's not a vow. That you're doing it because whatever. Well, why would you stop? I don't know, but something that can be situations. Sometimes you go places, you stay in someone else's house or whatever. You're going to whatever the situation is. Things can come up. Now, when you're a guest in someone else's house and you're going to be lighting there, lechatchila, meaning the ideal thing is, not that it's obligatory, but the ideal thing is that the guest should not light on the same table where her host is lighting. There's many candles lit in. They're lighting more candles, even though it's okay, it's accepted, it's kosher. But it is preferable if she could light somewhere else. Now, I'm not saying it to you that when you go to someone else's house, you're going to be telling them, can you make me a different place to light? No. You're in someone else's house, you're going to light when they tell you to light. We're saying, for yourself, if you're a host. So sometimes there is a place in the kitchen itself. There's a dining room table, then there's a counter space. Obviously, you want to make sure it's safe. But if you could have another safe spot, not on the dining room table, maybe on a counter or somewhere else, then that would be a good idea. that the guest should light somewhere else. For sure, they cannot light on the same candelabra. So let's say you have a candelabra that's 10 branches. You have this huge candelabra, but it's only lighting 2 or 3, and the rest is empty. So you got your guest lighting. No, it's supposed to should be a separate candelabra. It shouldn't be the same. Now the question comes up when you're a guest in someone's house, you're not sleeping there, you're sleeping in one place, eating somewhere else. Where should you light? Where you sleep or where you eat? Ideally, you should light where you are sleeping because that's your place. But it's accepted also to light where you eat. Especially the place where you sleep, usually there is light there already. It really practically depends on the situation. If you're able to light in the place where you're sleeping, you have, let's say you have your own apartment. Especially if you have your own apartment, for sure. You have your own apartment, you should light in your apartment. But if you just host a guest in someone's house, all you have is a bedroom, and chances are that it's not safe. And they don't want you, they're not giving you permission to light candles in your bedroom, in the bedroom that they gave you. So you can't do that. So you will light in the place where you eat. But if you have your own apartment and you need somewhere else, it's your apartment. So you can set it up properly that it's safe. You should really light in your apartment. When you light in your own apartment, you want to make sure that you can benefit from it. So let's say you're lighting in your apartment, and then you're gone. You're going to show. After show, you're going to your host. Then you're coming back to your apartment. What time? 12 o'clock at night. Coming back at 12 o'clock at night, candles are out already. So you lit your candles while it's still day. It's like 18 minutes before sunset. It's not a time when you need light, really. You run off to show. You go to your host. You come back to your apartment, and the candles are out, and there's no mitzvah lighting candles. There has to be some benefit from the candles. So either you stay on, you don't run to show right away. You have to stay on after the sun sets. Because even though you have light indoors, there has to be a time, you have to be there if you have a time that you need light. Technically, light from outside is not enough. So that's considered a time that you are considered that you're benefiting because essentially there is no light outside anymore. So you need light. In case you have light here also, but we went through that already. But it's accepted that you're still in the midst of when you're adding light. But there has to be at a time when you need light. It has to be dark. So you have to spend some time in the house after sunset, or even if it's close to sunset. I have to look into exactly, I don't look into the exact details. When it's close to sunset, it's also good enough. But you have to spend a significant amount of time, 10, 15 minutes, something, sitting by the candles, close to sunset, so you're getting some benefit from it. Or if you know that the candles are long candles, they will burn for a long amount of time, that when you come back from your host, it's still going to be burning. If your host doesn't have such a long meal, and you're able to come back and still benefit from the candles, then that's also good. Now, what in regards to sukkahs, it says that if you're lighting, back in those days, there were lights in many rooms. Everyone was dark, not like these days, because they lit candles enough that when you walk around the house, you're not going to be bumping into the wall. It was pitch dark back then. So, let's say she's lighting in this room, that room, and then we eat. What do you light first? What do you light first, and where do you end, and where do you say the bracha on? Very good. Because we eat is considered the main mitzvah. That's Einik Shabbos, Wash Rab Shabbos to the light. So you would be so. Let's say if she was lighting in all the rooms, it's actually brought down that in that situation back in those days, the husband will light in the other room, and she will light we eat. But let's say, but in any case, the brachas we eat. So if she's, let's say, lighting in all the rooms, so she would light in all the rooms, and then come to the place we eat, light there, and say the bracha where they're eating. Sukkot, we have this issue because we eat in the sukkah. Now, really, you're supposed to light in the sukkah we eat. So a lot of people don't light in the sukkah; they just light in the house. It's not really an ideal situation because there's a mitzvah to light when you eat. You should light candles when you eat. So, well, my wife always does this. She lights, we leave 2 candles for the sukkah. She begins to light in the house. Then she goes downstairs and she finishes lighting in the sukkah and she does a bracha in the sukkah. The challenge in the sukkah is that you want the candles should still be burning when you come and sit down to eat. So that's a little challenging. But there is ways how to do it. There's ways how to make it in a way that the wind will not, unless it starts pouring rain and then, but I try my best to create, find a bowl that can hold the candles and put something over it. You can't cover it completely, obviously, but you could cover it and still some air. And you can have a candle inside. Yeah, sure. They sell these lanterns special for candles. Let's try looking into it. What a one. Can't find. Huh?
How's that for my fear? They're like small metal and there's a
I once saw something. Yeah, I actually saw once. There's some issue with it. It's made for, and you use it, what do you use it for? Oh, that's what you use for sukkahs?
Yeah.
Oh, very good. And it works good. Can't stay lit inside?
Yeah, it's like glass and then there's holes on top. If it starts to rain, then
There's holes on top.
yeah.
So it's good only.
If it starts to pour is an issue, but it doesn't blow out.
Right, the wind won't get to it. But if it pours, so it's IKEA sells it, it's good to know. And what is it called? A lantern?
Mhm.
It's called a lantern. I think the people use it for different things. Yeah, okay, that's what it is. That's what people should use sukkahs, really. Okay. Yeah, any questions?
On the surface, should you also light in the house, like half and half, or?
That's what I'm saying. My
Or
wife
you do
does, yeah,
sukkah?
my wife does, no. No, it shouldn't be all, not all, why all the sukkah? The house too. But you're saying maybe, is there anything wrong about just lighting in the sukkah? That's what you're saying. If it's still,
If
that's
I'm
just-
lighting 2 candles,
yeah, no, if all you're lighting is, no, if you're lighting 2, do it in the sukkah. Yeah, because 2 is minimum. The wife is lighting many candles, that's
Yeah.
in the store. No, if you're lighting just 2, I thought you're asking if you're lighting a bunch of candles.
so if it's my family, then you
Yeah,
have more.
it's good to divide up, so you have here and there, because especially you might go out in the sukkah. So you're accomplishing what you need if you have 2 minimum. So if you have more than 2, it's good to light in both places. Yeah. Okay. So girls should begin lighting. Whatever it seems, and they can light even before 3. When they're able to speak, that everybody is encouraging they should light with girls. Essentially, the time is 3, but it comes from the Rebbe that once they could start speaking, and you feel she's ready for it, they can light. But again, they should be not lighting in the same candelabra as you. If let's say you got some big candelabra and you have like one kid now and you have space to let him join your candelabra. No, it's a separate candelabra. Also, she should be lighting before the mother. Very simple reason. The mother can help her. Once you light, you can't help her anymore. So make sure she lights first, and then the mother lights. It's brought down to get stucco before. So the stucco of Kel Chabad. Pushka called Amir Balanes, name of Pushka to get stucco before. It's a time to daven for the children. Because it says Kinei mitzvah v'Torah. Candle mitzvah and Torah gives light. So Torah is compared to light. And at the time when you're lighting candles, that's a time to daven for children. Specifically, you're married to have sons that are going to be illuminated with Torah. So that's the time to daven. Okay, we'll continue with Hashem tomorrow. Everyone.